Hello and welcome to another edition of Tips
with Joan and Priya.
Woohoo!
And this is not Follow Me Friday. That's on Friday.
But we still are thinkertainers.
We're just Joan and Priya.
I like saying thinkertainer. I'm going to go with educational, fun thinkers. She loves when I say that. Anyway, today we are so lucky. We have our guest, who's also a friend of ours, Danielle Hughes. Hello, Danielle.
Welcome, Danielle.
So glad to have you. And today we are really excited to say, are you ready? I got to read this because I want to get it right. Mm-hmm. We are saying heck yes to brand personality.
Woo.
How do you stand out in a sea of sameness?
Well, I know we all have personality right here.
A little bit. And we kind of did the matchy match today, huh?
This is like a thing now, Joan. You know that.
No.
It's a thing.
No. And I get jealous if we don't. I'm like, no, we have to match. And with our guests. It's kind of crazy. So this is pretty awesome. So Danielle and I have worked together for a while now. And I'm so honored that you could be here with us. More Than Words Marketing. And Priya's going to tell us more about you.
Sure. So Danielle Hughes, founder of More Than Words Marketing, helps individuals learn how to develop their personality brand to stand out in a sea of sameness and a world of duplicates.
Yep.
So today she has a ton of great information to share with us. Danielle, so how do you lean into who you are?
Oh my God. I mean, you just do. Right? Like, I think the first thing is to figure out how you are comfortable and what makes you feel comfortable, right? I think a lot of the issues that people have with expressing themselves in the business world is that they think they need to pretend to be some corporate version of themselves. Mm. And when you're suppressing who you actually are in order to pretend to fit in with everyone else, it just makes it harder for you to express yourself, and it actually makes you less like yourself than if you had just gone in there and, been straight up with who you are. So I tell people to just focus on how you can bring a little bit of yourself into who you are and your message. And whether that's, wearing something that's comfortable to you, having like a signature color, tapping into a hobby that you really love, or a phrase, and just not worrying so much about some old school code of conduct of how we need to be or how we need to behave. And it doesn't mean that you start like showing up and dropping F-bombs in the office and things like that. Like there's a fine line, right? I mean, when you own your own business, I curse all the time, and that's just part of my brand, but that's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like being a little bit more genuine and just taking the pressure off yourself to have an image. I think that's the hardest thing, is like people think that they put this pressure on themselves to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And when you just forgive that a little bit, you just feel like weight get like off your shoulders, and it just creates sort of like a lightness to you where you're like, I can actually be a little bit more me.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you're talking to me, because I feel like my whole life, people have always wanted me to act, dress, and be a certain way. Because of whatever their expectations. Priya, dye your hair. Priya, you got to wear this makeup. You got to do your nails. I'm a plain Jane when it comes to my nails. Like, I don't care. Yeah. You and I talked before this show. We talked about our powerlifting path. us girls, we usually have short nails. My nails are long right now, but yeah. I don't care about the nail polish and stuff. People always. I feel like my whole life people just been telling me what to do with myself, and I'm just over it.
Right, exactly. So basically you're saying heck no to telling me who I need to be, and I just want to be myself.
Exactly. And what you see is what you get. That's what I tell people. What you see is what you get.
It's really interesting, because when Priya and I were doing our show about a year or so into it, we were getting a lot of different feedback, and we were taking it to heart sometimes. And when we finally just got clear, now I still don't love the cursing on air.
But I'll do it. I'm modest about how much I use.
She's actually been really good with that, just because I want my niece to be able to see it. But what we have been able to do is take your message, Danielle, and really say, well, who are we? and this is who we are. And if you don't like us, maybe we're not your cup of tea or coffee or vodka or whatever it is. Maybe we're for someone else, not you.
Exactly.
So we're not mass produced. And I totally agree with you. I absolutely love that. And I love everything about what you have written on your website too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, so the second question I'm going to ask you, and you can extrapolate on any of these, how can you create, or how can we people create content and messaging that positions us distinctly, so who we are gets put out there?
And I think this goes back to the first point, right? That if you are pretending to be someone else, then you're not going to stand out, right? Like this idea that, you know, I have to put certain words on my website, or people won't take me seriously if I don't use X, Y, and Z because it means I don't know what I'm talking about. It actually just makes you blend in more. So I think the more you're willing to acknowledge the fact that not everybody's going to resonate with your message, the better your message is actually going to be. So the more you can go all in and put yourself out there and say, oh, that's a little, like, if it doesn't make you a little bit uncomfortable, your message is probably like everybody else's message. So to me,
I like that.
Yeah, like it just a little bit, like, and you know, some people tell you that with like when you're pricing products, like if you're not priced a little bit too uncomfortable, then you're priced too cheaply. It's the same thing with your message. Like push it a little bit. You can always dial it back, but like just if you were writing to a friend, like write about how you would write to a friend and kind of be free and just kind of don't care and just be like, yo girl, like da 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 da, and talk about all the things you want to talk about. And then see, okay, now how do I feel about that message, and how do you then maybe modify that? So I think the issue is really just not caring what people think and knowing that you're not going to resonate with everyone, and you shouldn't, because if you appeal to everyone, then you appeal to no one.
Yeah, and why be like everybody else when you could just be yourself?
And that's where we came up with the whole idea of saying heck yes. We decided it needed to stand out a little bit and be a little bit different.
So how do you highlight your uniqueness when you're talking about your branding?
Well, so I think I was just about to say, like, and it's not like not everybody is like as out as the three of us, right? And as bold, and that's totally okay. Like, having a personality doesn't just mean you have a big personality. It just means you have a personality, right? There's something that makes you you. So like I help people figure out what is that thing that makes you you. Is it, you know, a specific hobby that you like to do? Is it where you grew up? Is it a favorite show or something that you geek out on? Is it, you know, it could be anything. Like think about how when we grew up and you had that hobbies section on your resume, the hobbies and special skills, right? Why did people put that there? It had nothing to do with the job they were applying for. That was your humanity on a resume that basically made you seem like everybody else, because it was just listing skills and things that you've done. Yeah. And so you could give the interviewer or the recruiter a way to turn over your resume and say, oh, wow, like I see you do Tai Chi, or I see you like fencing. Like it makes you relatable. So like I think about like the world we're living in now, and the fact that you're seeing people's homes, and that you're seeing people a lot of times like in their sweatshirts and disheveled and with their kids running around. Like it creates a level of humanity, and that's what you need in your message, is to sound like a human being. And so the more you can show you as a person in your message, the more relatable you're going to be to your audience.
You're going to laugh.
Go ahead.
On my resume was baton twirl.
Yes, I know.
I put it on, but I also put can throw but can't catch.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I love that. And how many people did comment on that? Every person, right?
Everybody, every time they commented on that. But I was uncomfortable at the time because I was a lot younger. I was in my early 20s, out getting a job, and I kind of pulled back a lot from who I was. I was trying to be something and wear what I was told to wear and act the way I was told to act. And and sometimes when you're younger, you kind of have to fit in and get the job before you can really show who you are. But when it comes to you as a business and you're selling yourself as a business, it's a little different.
Yeah. 100%. And I tell people, like, they connect with you first and what you do second.
Yeah.
It used to be the other way around, but it is not anymore. And so that's what you're looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are your brand.
Correct.
So that leads me into like, okay, so how do you not be afraid of this and go big or go home kind of concept? How do you do that?
I mean, it's definitely, it takes some time. And some people are like, okay, great. You just granted me permission. Like, I'm all in. And other people, you know, it's baby steps. So I think it's like, you got to start somewhere. So pick something that you can message that's a little bit more personal, but not overly personal, right? So like, pick your hobby, pick your passion, and just include that somewhere, even if it's on your about page, right? That's the one place that every website or every bio, you can have a little bit of fun with your about message and who you are, if you can't have fun anywhere else, right? So like at the bottom, you can always say like something about where you live or what you love to do, or that you're like, you know, you dream of being a master chef, or like you're a wine person. Like there's a way for you to bring that humanity in and start somewhere. And then eventually you can figure out how to trickle that into the rest of your messaging, right? And maybe it's an expression that you like to use. Maybe it's a reference. The jury's out on thinkertainers. I got to marinate on that one for you.
Thank you. I've been marinating on it for a year.
But I love that Joan is like, I love thinkertainer, and she doesn't care that that you don't like it, Priya. Like, so that's Joan's way of saying.
Came up with it. I don't even think I came up with it.
But I'm just like, so that's the thing. It's like, you have to just not be afraid that if somebody doesn't like something, that's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
And don't be afraid to express your opinion. They always tell her, like,
Have we ever had a problem expressing our opinions?
As long as it's respectful, right? A respectful.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. That's a good point, Danielle.
It's got to be respectful.
Exactly. So our last point, our last tip, how your genuine personality creates affinity and affection. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I mean, so I think that, you know, that's kind of what we've been saying here, that like being more you is going to help you create more real relationships with people, right? Because that's where the connection is made. The connection is made through authenticity and commonality. So the more you are suppressing of yourself, the harder it's going to be to create a connection to your audience. Like, and I don't care who you are, what kind of business you have, what kind of product you have, the more real and genuine and authentic that you are, and how you show that you respect your audience as people, the more they're going to want to be with you, right? So that's how you create like that rabidity of fandom. There's a great article, Kevin something, and I'm forgetting his last name, called 1,000 True Fans. And I think now it's actually been moderated to be 100 True Fans. And his whole premise is, you don't need everyone in the world to ever like your product or buy your product. You just need a small dedicated group. And how you create that small dedicated group is around some sort of amazing commonality or some sort of affinity, right? So now, like Priya and I with the powerlifting thing, we have this, like, we know that we're girls that like to lift big weights. Like, that's going to be our thing.
I want to lift weights.
And like, how would we ever have known that? But it came up in conversation, or because it's on, like, people reach out to me because my website talks about CrossFit and wine, right? That's what's going to bring people to you, is something else, because you never know who shares what you love or who likes what you like. And until you tell them, you can't get them to latch on to that. So that to me is how you create that affinity and that affection.
I love that. And actually what's so interesting about that is, you really, like you said, you don't know until you present it and start talking about it. Yes. We interviewed a restaurant group, SEO 95. And I kind of knew a little bit about one of the owner's background, but then we realized the connection between that owner and Priya's son. He's a marine biologist. He studied to be a marine biologist. Priya's son wants to go to school to be a marine biologist. And we were like, oh my God.
Amazing.
It brought out the personality so much more when we were able to make that connection, right?
And he owns a bar called the Dive Bar, and he teaches people to dive.
And it's not about being low end. It's about literally diving.
Oh my God, I love it. That's great.
So, but it's so true, Danielle. And I tell you, when you and I first met and I looked at your website, your personality did shine through your pictures, through what you wrote, and it still does even right now. And as I get to know you more, it makes me want to work with you more. So it's really interesting how what we think could prevent people from coming to us is what draws people to us because we're real.
Yeah.
I love that. You totally summed that up 100%. That being more of who you are and opening up more is actually more of an attractor than a detractor.
Yeah.
And so it's like breaking that mindset for people is definitely the gateway to, and it's like with any relationship. How are you going to get to know a person, an audience, or whatever? You have to open up and share something of yourself and find that common ground.
So true. So true. I love it. This has been awesome learning all of this and really figuring out how to say, heck yes.
Heck yes.
I guess
Person, and Priya, there it is. Go ahead, Priya. Give the laugh.
Huh?
Gotta give the laugh. That's her personality right there.
I just giggle, whatever. I giggle all the time.
But that's your personality, and that's what makes you unique.
Yes, I love it.
And with you, Joni Pelzer.
Yeah. I'm gonna go baton twirl now.
You should. So we did tell the restaurant that you would go in front of the restaurant and
I am.
Girl.
I'm going to be going in front of the restaurant with my baton because guess what? Me doing these little things with my baton has opened people up to me. And they're like, I can't believe you did this with your baton. And I'm like, well, I haven't baton twirled in a long time. I did it for a talent show with my theater group that I go to every year, this retreat. And they were like, how have you been hiding this from us? I never thought anyone would care. But now it makes me happy.
It makes you human, right?
It makes you human.
It's quirky. And granted, there's probably not a lot of baton twirlers out there that you can maybe connect to, but so what? Like, it's just, you putting yourself out there is, and we didn't talk about vulnerability, but I think that that's the key thing too. It's like not being afraid to share something and knowing that it's not going to resonate with everyone. And as long as you're not oversharing something that's going to hurt your feelings, be a little vulnerable in your message. And that is also what's going to create a strong.
And that's what we do every time that we film, Joan. We are bearing our souls to our audience. We're making ourselves vulnerable because we are ourselves. What you see is what you get,
Right.
And that's what we do every time because we are.
Because that's Joan and Priya.
That's Joan and Priya.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Danielle Hughes, for being our guest today. How can people find you?
So they can go to morethanwordscopy.com. I have a newsletter that they can sign up for. It only goes out every other week, so I do not inundate you or spam you. And you can just reach out to me there, and then you'll find me on all my channels, and just come say hi.
Awesome.
Love it. So make sure you check out Danielle and tune in every week for Tips with
Joan and Priya.